For months now, we have been talking about how Nintendo should release Woolly World and maybe even Mario Galaxy 2 on the Switch in preparation for the new movie, because as we all know, Yoshi is going to play a key role in the Mario movie sequel that we now know is Mario Galaxy. I don't think anybody was predicting that there would be a brand new Yoshi game, but out of nowhere in that Nintendo Direct, the final announcements that Koizumi had for us in terms of Mario 40th anniversary announcements, at least for this Direct, was Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. We are getting a brand new 2D Yoshi game seemingly out of nowhere. So today I want to talk about this trailer, give my thoughts on what we saw, because I do think, I have some reservations, but it does look pretty good. We're going to talk about the developer of this game. We do not know who's making it. I think I have a pretty good guess on who is actually behind this, and I don't think it's the same team that did Woolly World and Crafted World, so lots to discuss there. And I also think it's worth discussing whether or not this was a good final announcement for Mario's 40th anniversary. I feel like a lot of Mario fans, they had Mario Tennis there, they had Mario Wonder, they had Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, and you're ending your Mario anniversary announcements on a Yoshi game that Mario might not even be in at all. It doesn't look like the babies are here. But then they had the Bonanza DLC later in the Direct, and that's just as connected to Mario, if not more connected than this game is. It's a little odd. So today we're talking about Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Of course, if you are new here and you enjoy Mario videos, but also Nintendo Switch 2 coverage, I would appreciate you liking the video and subscribing. Let's get into it. Alrighty folks, welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games, and today we are discussing Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. If you have missed any of my previous direct coverage videos, I would appreciate you checking those out as well. Talked about Mario Tennis and Mario Wonder yesterday. We've done videos on Fire Emblem, Metroid Prime, Mario Galaxy, a ton of videos this week. But today we're talking about this new Yoshi game, which I think alongside Pokemon Pokopia, I think this was the other most surprising announcement from the Direct, especially as a Switch 2 exclusive. No one really had a new 2D Yoshi game, or really just any new Yoshi game at all on their bingo cards. We saw back in April in that Switch 2 Direct that they had key art for a new version of Yoshi's Woolly World on Switch when they were showing the backwards compatible games. So myself and many others have been speculating that that would come. I mean, even before that happened, I thought Woolly World just seemed like a logical Wii U port to bring over, even though it was also on 3DS, because, it's already been a long time since we got Yoshi's Crafted World from Goodfield. That was over 6 years ago. So as a stopgap release, as a tie-in with the new Mario movie that will have Yoshi in it, Woolly World just kind of seemed like the best bet. But no, we are getting a completely new Yoshi game, which I just don't think I saw anybody predicting that this would happen. And thankfully, the game looks really nice, at least visually. I'm not sure if I'm sold on the gameplay, and once we start talking about the developer, I get a little bit more cautious with this one. But I'm someone who enjoys Yoshi games. I like pretty much all the Yoshi's Island games. Even the 3DS one I think is like fine. Woolly World I think is awesome. Crafted World I think is underrated. So I'm an enjoyer of Yoshi games. I enjoy the slower collection-based gameplay that the series offers, and it looks like this game is going even further in that direction. So you have more physics-based puzzles. So the main thing they show in this trailer is the element system in this game. So you can make these dandelions go to this rock, and then they can absorb nutrients from the rock and then basically weaken it so you can destroy it. Yoshi trailers are always weird because how do you make something look exciting? And I feel like they really just were like, okay, we've tried making these more modern-ish Yoshi's Island games, and Woolly World is great, and Crafted World certainly more different than that, but still similar vein in terms of like, okay, it's a 2D platformer. This feels much more in line with like a puzzle platformer, in that you are going to be kind of backtracking, maybe finding different elements to bring back to other areas, finding certain enemies that you need to reach a certain part. They show some fishing. They show Yoshi throwing this one enemy into a target to use, I think, as a platformer. Maybe it activates something else. They show Yoshi getting in a bubble from this cute little frog creature. He looks like an real monster. I don't know if he's been in previous Yoshi games, but I do like him. They show Yoshi surfing, going from right to left. I thought that was interesting. I don't think it's going to play like a Yoshi's Island game. I don't think it's going to play like a Woolly World or Crafted World. This feels like a much slower, much more methodical Yoshi game, which I actually think is the right choice for this franchise, because everybody always compares Woolly World and the Island games to 2D Kirby games. I think this will separate it enough in terms of gameplay that we won't really see those comparisons anymore. So I'm definitely into what we're seeing. However, and I saw a post about this on Twitter, how are we feeling about the Breath of the Wildification of most Nintendo franchises? We've seen this so many times now, most recently with Donkey Kong Bonanza, and that you can do these things in any order and everything has to interact and have a reaction to another thing. this feels very much like, okay, how can we evolve Yoshi in a way that makes it more physics-based, more reaction-based like that? I am a Bonanza critic because a lot of those Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom elements that they put in the gameplay, this, I think, will kind of get a pass because it's a 2D game, and we haven't really seen them do that with a 2D game yet, so I think inherently that's a little bit more exciting, something more fresh than Bonanza's open-ended level design. But also, I'm not sitting here thinking that this is going to be a Game of the Year contender. Next year, Yoshi games never are. I really enjoy them. I think Woolly World and Crafted World are fantastic, but, like, I'm not saying they're, like, a 10 out of 10. These are, like, 7.5, 8 out of 10 experiences, which I think are really good, you know? Crafted World especially, I think, is underrated. But I think most people would agree, no matter how good a Yoshi game is, it's not, like, this crazy system seller, most anticipated game of the following year. It's just, you know, it's going to be a good time, and that's just what it is. You know, if it has a certain place in Nintendo's lineup, and it's not really going to go beyond that, if that makes sense. Now, of course, we have not talked about the art style for this game, and I think that's what most people are really focusing on, in that it looks really, really cool. It has this kind of like stop motion Spider-Verse animation half frame rate thing going on. I think this is a fantastic art style for it. I love how Yoshi looks. I love how the backgrounds look especially. I love this entire storybook aesthetic where you're going into Mr. E. So it's called Yoshi in the Mysterious Book. This character right here, his name is Mr. E, which is a good pun. I'll give him that. And yeah, you're going into the storybook pages. Feels like some Blue Skidoo action from Blue's Clues. But I think the art style is really cool. I love the animations. I love all the different creatures we're seeing. I love this like weird frame rate effect they have going on. I like how they even say in like the level pages, so I assume this is like the level select screen here, it takes notes for you based on like, okay, Yoshi ate this flower, tastes a bit sweet, and you can put that flower on Yoshi's back. So you can kind of like have notes, and I wonder how that'll be implemented. Like, will you be going back to levels as you like maybe unlock more things or learn more about these creatures? There's also, as you can see in the screenshot right here, you do have the smiling flower collectibles back from basically every Yoshi game. So good to know that's there. Although in this case, there's only 3 as opposed to, I want to say 5 is the standard, right? Now, I do also want to talk about the developer of this game. It's one of the only things that Nintendo showed that we did not learn who's making it. At the end of the Fire Emblem trailer, they said Intelligent Systems. At the end of Pokopia, they said Game Freak and Koei Tecmo. For some reason, this is one of those games where Nintendo is being stubborn and not revealing who's actually making it. Now, you might think, well, what do you mean, Bo? It's a Yoshi game. Of course, Good Feel is making it. They make all the Yoshi games, and that is true. They have made basically every modern Yoshi game, including Woolly World and Crafted World. However, something didn't strike me quite right with this one because it doesn't look like their other games. Even when you look at like Princess Peach Showtime or that Bakaru game, this just looks so different for them that I was a little skeptical of that. But also, Good Feel just released 2 games in the past year and a half or so with Bakaru, with Princess Peach Showtime. I think it's likelier that they are actually working on Woolly World as a port, maybe with some new content that can come out in 2027 or something. I think it is way likelier that the team making this game is Arzest. We have not seen Nintendo work with Arzest in a very long time, but if you don't know who that is, originally they were Artoon, they did Yoshi's Island DS, and most recently with Nintendo, they did Yoshi's New Island and Hey Pikmin on the 3DS. I think this fits much more in line with what they do in terms of visuals, but also in terms of the puzzle elements that, you know, Hey Pikmin is a puzzle game. This is a Yoshi puzzle game. So I think we are looking at an Arzest developed Yoshi game. Their last title was Sonic Superstars in 2023. That's 3 years. I think that's enough time. I don't want to judge the game too harshly based on that, but I would say Arzest is one of the lesser tier Nintendo developers in terms of like their partnerships. New Island's fine. I like DS actually quite a bit, but Hey Pikmin, I didn't like Hey Pikmin. So we will see if it actually does end up being them. I saw some people speculating that because it has a lot of this like Breath of the Wild-esque element mixing stuff going on, that honestly maybe it could be internally developed at Nintendo. That'd be very exciting, very interesting, but I'm gonna put my money on it being Arzest. It just doesn't feel like Good Feel to me. I think they'll work on a Woolly World port because they did the 3DS port of that as well, and then maybe another Princess Peach game or like a Rosalina game or something I saw some people speculating on. So I'm going to put my money on Arzest for this one, which is cool to have them back in the mix. I just hope it's of a higher quality than what they were doing towards the end of their partnership with Nintendo on the 3DS. I will say I saw a lot of people pretty disappointed that this was the final announcement for Mario's 40th anniversary. And the way Koizumi was talking about how the Mario Galaxy movie is the main event of the anniversary, do we think this is it? Like, is it over? Was this the entire slate of Mario anniversary announcements? Aside from some smaller things, I'm sure Mario Sunshine on NSO is going to be tied into that. I think on Mario Day next year, we can maybe see another presentation that we had like in 2024 or whatever, where we get a new trailer for Yoshi and the Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition is dated and all these different things. And maybe they do some other NSO drops there, maybe a smaller Game & Watch tier thing, maybe a revival of Mario 35 as Mario 40 at that point. But as the final announcements for this Mario showcase, it's a little weird because it's not really a Mario game. The babies are not here. If you told me that we were going to get a Mario Tennis game and a new Yoshi game announced and that one of them would have the babies, I would not have said Mario Tennis, I'll tell you that much. I think this game being the big final one more thing for Mario is the reason they put the Mario stuff at the beginning, because they couldn't close the direct on a Yoshi game. Fire Emblem is niche, but it's clearly a much bigger deal as a closer for like the hardcore Nintendo audience watching a Nintendo Direct. If they had closed the Direct on this Mario segment and then closed it on Yoshi, I don't think people would have been very happy, to say the least. So I think it is a pretty weak final announcement for Mario's anniversary. I'm sure we'll get something else in the second half of next year that isn't really even tied into the anniversary. I still think a 3D Mario could potentially be on the horizon. Maybe not next year, but 2027 could fit for that. But I am curious how you all felt about this being like the one more thing for Mario. I almost feel like they should have swapped the Galaxy stuff as the end for this. They could have opened on Yoshi. I think Yoshi's a fine opener, or even Mario Tennis, and then close on the Mario Galaxy movie and the ports. I know they're ports, but I feel like that would have flowed a little bit better for this one. I'm not sure, but let me know your thoughts on that down below. Two final things. So first things first, I think the title it's fine. It'll grow on me. It's so boring though. At least like Yoshi's Woolly World and Crafted World, there's some theming there. It's Yoshi's Blank World. This is Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. That sounds so boring. I'm sure it'll grow on me, but I did want to shout that out. But also the spring 2026 release date. I mentioned this in the Pokopia video. I'm going to do a whole separate spring 2026 lineup thing for Nintendo, I think, as a video. But they are killing it next year. The fact that this is a spring game, I kind of have PTSD after both Woolly World and Crafted World kind of got delayed, pushed a little bit further than they were expected. Woolly World certainly took forever to come out, but Crafted World, they announced in 2017, released in 2019, so almost 2 full years of marketing for Crafted World. This is a Yoshi game that is finally going to come out and actually release in a timely manner. I would actually say there's a good chance this is our March game from Nintendo. They've had more like kind of casual platformers in that slot in the past, so get it out before the movie I think also makes sense, but we will see. Let me know your thoughts on Yoshi and the Mysterious Book in the comments down below. Are you excited for this game? Who do you think is actually behind the developments of this one? Do you think it's Good Feel, Arzest, someone else entirely? I would love to get a conversation going down below. You can follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. Check out my Nintendo collecting channel at It's Amiibo. And until next time, folks, peace.